I'm living a beautiful life. I'm making a beautiful life. I'm changing, rearranging. I see a beautiful day. It's coming my way. It's a beautiful day.
All right. Welcome everyone to A Beautiful Life. I am your host, JQ Lee, and I tell you, I get this amazing opportunity to interview these two very special couples. And let's begin with Miss Williams, Mr. and Mrs. Williams, Latrika and Ramon. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. And also I have Derek and Gia Biggs, and I tell you, I'm so excited to have both of them on. Welcome, Derek and Gia.
Thank you.
So I told them, I was like, listen, all week I've been excited to bring this show to you all. It's so important, especially in this hour that we're in, that we highlight things that makes God smile, that we highlight, couples that are putting in the work. And so we call this show tonight Marriage Made Wealthy. When you're talking about something being wealthy, when you're talking about the price tag to it, I really believe that we have to begin to see the covenant that God has for a man and woman to be this priceless entity that you put the work in. And just as they say, you're going to treat a boiled egg differently than you would treat a vase, an egg-shaped vase that's worth $2 million, $3 million. You're by default, you're going to hold it differently. Although they may be shaped the same, it's a certain way that you hold it. And so I want to talk tonight about what makes these marriages wealthy, what makes a marriage that God puts together priceless. And so we're going to jump right into it, you all. So you all ready?
I'm ready.
All right. And so one of the things that people often say is, many times they feel that marriages end because of finances. I want to hit that tonight, because when you're talking about some of the reasons as to why marriages don't work, there has to be overall an underlying issue that really causes that person not to stay committed, no matter what it is that brought them to that decision. So I'm going to jump right in. I want the Williams to jump right in with that question, Trisha, Ramon, in reference to, what do you feel about people thinking that it's the finances that breaks up the marriage? What are your thoughts on that?
Okay.
I don't think it's so much. It's kind of it's a good question, because finances does break up marriages and relationships, but I believe it's the lies that come behind it. In our relationship, what involving money is that we both trust each other, and
Total transparency.
And we start with the Lord. We put that first. We put Him first, and the money is just there every day. Money is something that you need in life, but it's not what we are. It doesn't make who we are. So when it comes to money, I don't have to know when she's broke. I know when she's don't have any money. She knows when I don't have any money because we both know where the finances are coming from. You know what I mean? She doesn't have to tell me she needs money because I should know. Just like she should know when I need money because we both look at the same accounts. You know, there's nothing hidden.
Right.
And
a part of that is because early on, we realized what role we played when it came to money. And he has his role that he plays when it comes to money. I have my role. I manage the household finances, you know. And again, we have multiple accounts, but we have access to all of them. And again, that total transparency in our mindset going into marriage, it was a mindset of unity from the beginning. You know, when we came together as one across the board, and money was one of those aspects that, you know, everything is going into one pot. We work together, and that's one of the reasons why money has never been an issue, and I don't think it ever will be an issue because, you know, we're open. What's mine is his, and what's his is mine. You know, we're one.
And that goes throughout the relationship, not just with money.
Right. Everything.
I mean, cell phones, computers. There's no passwords, email, all of that.
Everything.
You know, everything is open.
Right.
You know what I mean? I don't have an email account that she doesn't know, you know, the password to. I don't. My cell phone, she knows the pass. We know the passwords to all codes that we have. You know,
it's a level of trust and respect.
Yes.
And you know, and I'm going to let the bigs chime in. And so this is what you all are hearing from newlyweds, that they really began to understand what it would take to really make that marriage wealthy. I think these are you know, practical elements that are so essential. And oftentimes, and I'm coming to the bigs, but oftentimes I think that you all hit it on the nail in reference to the transparency, because if you ever had that rearing, and some of us women have had that rearing of being told to, you know, always have you a little stash to the side, you know, and those are different things that when you really come into the knowledge of Christ, when God begins to deal with you, he begins to deal with some of those things that we were taught, or some of those things that were passed down that really are not of him. Because when you're talking about becoming one with someone, it is a part of being transparent with an individual, because I'm becoming one with you. And so that is a dynamic that happens with no other relationship. And so we have to begin to treat it as such. So I love that you all talked about the transparency. To our other couple, our seasoned 27 years of bliss, bring it to us, the bigs. What are your thoughts on people feeling that finances is the main reason why marriages are breaking up? What are your thoughts on that?
Derek and I never really had no issues with finances, but Derek take care of everything. Derek has done that from day one. I just really started working like a job in the last 2 years. So I take care of the household stuff, but Derek take care of everything. He's been doing that, taking care of me from the beginning.
God has blessed me to be placed me here to be the provider. So that's what I do. And that's love. No strings attached.
And we don't fuss and fight about money.
Yes.
Amen.
Amen.
Mm-hmm.
We never fuss and fought about.
And as you look at the two dynamics of the two of you, I think that's important, because a part of it was, you know, with Trish and Ramon, that Trish would assume that responsibility pertaining to the finances with the house. On the flip side with the bigs, it's Derek assuming that responsibility. I think it's important that we begin to have those conversations and really sit down and say, you know, what are your strengths? You know, what are my strengths? And begin to operate from that place, because you could have individuals in your ear of, you know, feeling like, oh, the woman should handle the money, if he's better suited at that, you have to do what's in the best interest of your home.
Yes.
And so
Yeah.
I love that, you all, from the beginning understood what was going to work for your home. So
Now, can I say one thing, Jaquita?
sure, go ahead. Mhm.
Now, I'm good at managing the household finances, but Ramon is the saver. Ramon is excellent at saving money. So we both play a role in the household finances.
Like my wife makes sure everything is paid, but I'm pretty good at putting money away, and okay, we can put this away. Once she's got all that, put this away.
Yeah.
Put that away.
Yeah. So we
So you-
tag team on it.
Yeah.
Tag team on the finances.
Right.
Right.
Derek just gave me one bill to pay, and that's the water bill.
My God.
This to keep you accountable for something here.
But I take care, like, the household, all of that type of stuff. But Derek,
yes. It works. It works.
Drag that whip.
That's right.
But I can honestly say when we first met, we sat down and we had a talk about finances and how we each other wanted to live. Before we got married, I told her, this is my plan on life or how I want to live, and she told me her plan, and they coexist. And it works so far.
And a part of me asking this question, and I knew you all were going to really hit it, because if someone said that their marriage ended because of finances, it really speaks to the foundation in which that marriage was on.
Yes.
Because when you're talking about a covenant and God bringing the two of you together, surely we're not going to divorce court over who spent more money. Surely we would have enough love for one another and have enough conversations and transparency to know before we hit this brick wall, there were a lot of circumstances and challenges that came before you went off the cliff. And so to hear you all talk about the transparency part, to hear you all be able to say, you know what, that person has a stronger aptitude as it relates to that particular category. I'm going to operate from making sure the household is taken care of. He's going to operate from making sure investment wise and savings is being taken care of. These are dialogues that I think really people don't have enough. And then it also is sometimes from a place of a drudgery or a place of like, oh, we got to talk about money again, versus when you are working together on a common goal. Let's say, you're talking about, let's do an end of the year trip, right? And then you put that in front of you, knowing that Ramon is going to make sure savings wise and investment wise, that those things are taken care of. Now you're working together on a common goal. And so you're going to be a lot more mindful that when you go into Macy's and they say they're having this one day sale, you know what I'm saying? Like at the end of the day, even if those shoes were $300 and they went down to $150, that's still $150. You know what I'm saying? It's not $150 savings. No, that's $150 coming out of your account.
Right.
And so when you are on one accord in those areas, like Ramon said, not just finances, but every area, when you're having those conversations and you're talking, it is a game changer. And so you all, I see you all in the comments. We definitely want you to be a part and put those questions in there or comments. If you're feeling what they're saying, we definitely want to hear from you. So now I want to jump into the work, the investment that it takes prior to the I do's. And I want to start with the bigs with this. I think so oftentimes there are so many hours. I had the esteemed pleasure of being the event planner for Trisha and Ramon's beautiful nuptials. I mean, just a spectacular day. And oftentimes people spend so much time for the wedding day and don't focus so much like they should for the marriage. So when you're talking about one day versus your lifetime together, I want to talk to you all, start with you all with the bigs in reference to what is the investment that people should really do before the I do's? Because sometimes people think the work starts after the I do, but the work should really begin to start prior to. What is the investment that you can put into your marriage prior to I do?
With me and Derek, in the beginning, we became friends. We dated, but we became friends. And a lot of times, people don't get to know each other.
Mm.
People don't get to know. They just want. They see the fairy tale. Like even 27 years ago, me and Derek didn't spend no more than $6,000 for our wedding. And today, what I hear people spending, they see the fairy tale of it all, but when the marriage hits, they don't know how to deal with that.
Yeah.
That's
They're
good.
more interested in the glitz and showing off.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And no substance.
But when you behind closed doors after the wedding, after the my dues, and after everybody went home, it's you and him.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
What are you gonna do? Even like say with me and Derek,
Mm-hmm.
like me, I'm the emotional one. I'm the emotion, and I used to be really, really emotional, but to God be the glory, He has delivered me from that.
Mm.
But
Amen.
like Derek would say something, and Derek is always calm. But Derek would say something, I'd be like, hey, and I get all cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. But baby, why you do this? Why you say this? And he be like, you taking it too deep. But we know each other. I know what to say to Derek at times, and he knows what to say to me. But I used to take everything personal.
That's good. Come on.
Everything personal. And that was the growth I had to do on myself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people don't want to do the growth, the personal growth.
Right.
And I'm still growing.
Yes.
I'm 53. We've been married 27 years. We've been together 31 years. I'm still growing.
Yes.
How's that? I don't know. I've been 25, so I don't understand how.
That's Derek, you all. That's Derek. Let me tell you one of the highlights that I get from them. Like I feel so blessed to know couples who really are walking this thing out for real, right? And so one of the things that I immediately recognize with the Bigs is they don't just love one another, they like one another. I think that is huge because oftentimes we can go through life saying, I love this person, I love this person, I love this person, but I don't really like them. It's almost as if I gotta love them, right? But when you like someone, when you enjoy their company, like Derek and Gia are in their own world sometimes. Like Derek, their little affectionate names for one another, baby and boo boo. I don't care where we are. You could find them just giggling, or you can just find them just having their little inside jokes. And 27 years later, they still do that. And I think it speaks to the work that you put in. And I want to just echo something that you said, Gia, because it speaks to the maturity and it speaks to the wealth that was being invested in your marriage when you understood, you know what? Maybe I'm too emotional about some things. Maybe I'm taking things too personally. Maybe what's in me that saw that as an offense for what he said versus him being comfortable enough to share with me his thoughts and his views. And when you're talking about the investment, as you all said, being friends in the beginning, I think that's an area of investment that people often forfeit. Like we're so quick to want to get to the I do and the wedding day, but to be someone's friend is a very, very special relationship and is a very special investment. So Williams, we want you to chime in on that because I think it's with you all being newlyweds, talk to us a little bit about the investment that you did prior to your I do's.
Okay, I think I'll start this one. One of the investments that we did was, I think we made communication a major component of of what it was that we were looking for. We made it a foundation because we talked about absolutely everything. You know, at this juncture in our life, for the last 4, almost 5 years now, um, we understand where we are in life. We know what we want in life. Ramon and I both have been married before. And I don't know if I shared this with Ramon, but when I prayed for my husband, I prayed and I asked God, I said, I want a husband who has been divorced. And I know that sounds crazy, but I wanted someone who was divorced because being divorced myself, I knew that person would know what it felt like to lose, because when you get divorced, it's like a death. It really is. A part of your life has been cut away. And I did. I prayed for someone who had been through pretty much the same thing I did. So when they came into my life, they will understand the importance of what it meant to have a real covenant. And I knew whoever this person was, they had to have a relationship with God. I didn't know it was going to be Ramon again, because Ramon and I were newlyweds, but Ramon and I have known each other for well over 30 years. And we dated when we were very young for a couple of years, and we separated. So God, when God brought us back around again, um, we had that same feeling for each other, but Ramon was different, and so was Trish. So we had to really invest in communicating with each other so we could see who this new person is that we have come in contact with. We know the physical, but we had to get to the mental aspect of who we were. We had to get to the spiritual aspect of who we were. We had to get to the just who that person is again. So we just delved into communication, and we were talking a lot. We spent a lot of time together getting to know each other, and I think that was the greatest investment we could have done, in getting to know each other, because it's all a process. I remember praying and saying to God when Ramon and I first got back together, and I told God, I said, God, if he's not the one, I don't want him. I don't want him. I know I love him, but I want your kind of love for Ramon. And we went through our issues.
Yeah.
We went through our issues. Nothing was perfect. And I think that's a part of that fantasy that people are looking at when it comes to marriage. No, I mean, you got to put in some work with this thing. We
Every
had
day.
our knockdown drag outs, and I told him, don't you ever call me ever again. So we went through those times, but that communication, with each other, being honest with each other, being honest in moments where it didn't feel good, you
Yes.
know, and that speaks to the maturity that Gail is talking about, because you have to be honest first with yourself, so that you can be honest with your partner. So our
That's good.
greatest investment outside of having God as our foundation was communication, because we're not the 21 and 22-year-old who's getting married and we have 100 years to do this thing. We're seasoned already individually.
Yes.
So when we come together, we're already at a certain level. We're already at a certain level. And adding marriage to that component, it makes it can make it better, and it can make it worse, because I know many people who have gotten married later in life and it still didn't work. but
Right.
it's the effort that you put into it.
That's
It's
right.
the long conversations. I can remember Ramon was an avid bike rider when we first got together, and we would have conversations because he was going through that mode of, oh, she's religious, so she's not going to change me, she's not going to make me who she is. He was going through that stage. Yeah, he was going through that stage. So we would have some deep conversations, and I learned very early on that it wasn't up to me to battle with him about anything. I would say what I had to say. We wouldn't argue, and I would just say, God, he's yours. And by the time his bike ride was over, he would be calling me saying, baby, you know what? I apologize. When I was on him and the Lord had some serious conversations on them bike rides.
We still do. We still do.
So communication, it is so invaluable. And that was one of our greatest investments.
And one of the things that, I prayed for her. And when God offered her to me, I was like, well, I thought she was more religious than I. I didn't know that I didn't. I was looking at myself like if I didn't have a relationship with God myself, or hers was better than mine. You know what I mean? And that was the fear of me. Like, well, you're not gonna have me where like this and this, like a robot, because you know more about you're in the Bible a lot more than I am. And I have a great relationship with my father, and it was him that led me to her, where saying, well, you prayed for this, and I have this woman for you, and you're saying that she's too religious for you. And I'm riding my bike, and I'm like, wow, that was it. That was it. It was everything fell in place then, because that's what I wanted. I wanted a woman that was religious.
How about godly?
A godly that could. I have a tendency to. I have a tendency to wander off. You know what I mean? And I needed that godly woman to keep me on that godly trail. You know what I mean? And that's what she does for me. If I wonder, because if I'm out here watching TV and she's in there praying and I hear it, I'm like, hey, let me go in there and see what's going on and get with her. And that's what I do.
Come on. Okay. So, I have to tell this story because for my birthday event, Alabaster Box, Trish was actually one of the speakers, and I shared with them. So I'm going to share with the world why, Trish has always been very dear to me, but why Ramon is now also so very dear to me. They did a radio show, and the individual sent me the show, and I'm listening to these two be interviewed. And I tell people 2 times where I actually lost my breath. Like I actually had to feel like I had to remember to breathe. Going to the Raising in the Sun and seeing Felicia Rashad as an actress. And then fast forward to Mr. Ramon Williams. When he said on this interview, he said, watching the way Trish had a relationship with the Lord made him want to have a relationship all the more with God. Yes. And so, ladies, listen to what we are saying on today. You don't have to shrink who you are in God. You don't have to play it down, dumb it down. You don't have to do any of that to get with someone who truly sees the God in you, and you do that thing so well that they're saying, you know what? I want that. Like, you got me. You put a demand on my life by the way you're living your life. That is everything.
Amen.
And when I heard that on the radio interview, it was almost like an indictment on even me. I had to do a self-check. Like, when you think about the relationships that you've been in, have you really walked out who you are in God so much so man or woman on either side, so much so that somebody says, you know what? You've done this to such a peculiar place that it makes me want our God all the more. And so that is really what encouraged me. Of many things about their story, but I will forever, you're probably going to hear this again on my wedding day. I'm probably going to have to talk about it again because it speaks to, it is truly worth the wait.
Yes.
We're looking constantly at what the world did. Guess what? It's no accident. This show is after Valentine's Day, right? And so we saw all of the celebrities, some bought people BMWs, some, brought 500 bouquets of roses. And I saw, it was interesting how God set it up this week because I saw things that I wouldn't normally see. And it was like the world was going all out for Valentine's Day. And it speaks to how the enemy will go all out because he will never be able to touch the truth. He'll never be able to touch the true love that God can put between a man and a woman in a covenant. And so I pray that this show would encourage you all to begin to see that after you do the work, there is amazing fruit that comes out of being able to do that. Yes. And I want to go here with you all. I want to go here because I'm going to, this is another transparent moment. I remember saying prior to, just being so fleshly, but, just feeling like I'm the prize. So I'm expecting him to do certain things. I'm expecting, to get certain gifts because I'm the prize. And as I begin to get really serious, because God began to shut that thing down. So let me show you how much the prize you are. Because I don't care if he's sending musicians to your job. I don't care if he's flying you out to Bora Bora. I don't care if they shut the restaurant down for you and it's just the two of you. If God is not in it, or if that relationship doesn't bring glory to God, if you felt the need to have friends with benefits because that person did that at the end of the day, then we missed it. And so I remember maturing in God and graduating to this place of saying, no, I'm not the prize. I'm the gift. I'm the gift to him from God. And guess what? He's the gift to me.
Yes.
When you begin to see that both of you are gifts from God. I want to go here, guys. I want to talk from this perspective because, Trish talked about that heated fellowship. Sometimes you don't always agree, right? But when that foundation is right, and when you really understand that person is a gift from God, I'm talking about the ones who God sent, okay? Not something that we put together, but truly a gift. And I want to start with the bigs. There is a certain way that you're going to truly talk to a gift from God. I'm not talking about a gift from Louis Vuitton. I'm talking about what heaven has put in your hands. Talk a little bit, Derek and Gia, about how couples can continue to place that investment in their marriage, even when they're not always agreeing about something or when feelings might be hurt. What are some of the investments? What are some of the things that we can do to remain mindful that this individual is my gift from God?
For me, I fought it for a while, but I knew I wasn't like going to church and all of that. When I met Derek, we met in a Jamaican club.
Keep it real.
And
let the church. All right.
The little things that he used to do for me and he didn't even know me. In my gut, I was like, he's different. But that scared me. It's like the little things, like, okay, one instant was a shootout in the club. And my mother, before my mother passed, she bought this leather jacket where they had the jackets way up in this dungeon. I don't know where the jackets was, but he saw me standing online to get the jacket. And he said, give me your ticket. I'm going to go get the jacket. And I'm like,
there's this huge line.
I'm like, it's a lot of people. But Derek went and found this jacket. and brought me my jacket. If you would have seen how many people, it was chaos. And I was like, I went home and I was like, and I did used to talk to God. I was like, Lord, what is going on? The little things. When I always tell Derek, I love him so. I truly love him so. And I always tell him, I am so very thankful for you. He took on me and my sisters at a low part in our lives. That's when I knew, Lord, I thank you. I thank you. I thank you. Even with the bickering, because I have a bossy tendencies. Don't judge me.
Yeah. Don't worry. I do too, girl. I do too.
But Derek, the way he handles me and cares for me is so, it's just like, no, I don't think nobody else could take care of me the way Derek take care of me. And that's not even monetary. It's like emotional. It's like so different.
Yes.
And then I love him.
Yes.
I truly love him.
Just in case they didn't get that.
What's that?
Just in case they didn't get that. She truly loves you.
And yes, we don't have, it's not peaches and cream every single day.
No.
Yeah.
But we know that, is this worth really bickering about?
Exactly.
And if I, because I'm always the one that feel away, I go and sit in my little corner till I get myself together, and we good.
Yeah.
And what were we gonna say, Derek?
No, I mean, when God truly places, someone in your life, you know who's for you.
Yes.
Especially as a man, you can front and whatever, but you know when you got the right one for you.
And it's funny that you say that, Derek, because I never believed in that. I thought I didn't believe that there's somebody out there for you. I thought you just grow together and that kind of growth. And when I asked God for a godly woman and he sent Trish, I was like, I know there's love. You know what I mean? That's one thing I know in our togetherness and I love that we both love each other. And it's through the arguments, the fights, there's love there. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
And that's the part I know that works. Even through those times. After that, we're right back to love.
That's because when that's for you. It's like small stuff is like
nothing.
It's really, it's nothing. It's like, why am
you brought up money. Money, that's not an issue.
No, it shouldn't be.
Furthest from our world is the money. We all work every day. We know money is there. There's nothing to bicker over.
Exactly.
We have a little echo. So I'm trying to work that out. I want to make sure. Do you all hear me?
Yeah. Yes.
Do you hear echo?
Oh.
It's gone now.
Okay.
And how, like you say about knowing this the woman for me, I mean, and it goes, guys. I'm talking about when I say we discussed a lot of things. We discussed money, sex, trust. I mean, right on whatever it is, everything. We talked about everything over and over. We had an understanding. We discussed our Father, God. I mean, we discussed everything, and we do it every day. We do it throughout the week, throughout the month. You know what I mean? We discuss things. We communicate. I mean, perfectly. And we have our moments, but that communication is
key.
It's key. Key, and we do not lie to each other.
Right.
We keep going back to the communication, the honesty, the transparency. I want to talk about as we begin to wrap up, but I want to talk about being able to handle someone being honest and being truthful, because we can say, like, we already know that it is about communication, right? But when you start putting all of that together, when you start putting you are my gift from God, when you start putting I'm one with you, when you start putting um, this person has my best interest at heart, I want to bring in the conversation pertaining to the vows, the traditional vows, because I know that, there's some things people like to take out of the traditional vows. But when I tell you, I feel like there are some foundational things in those vows that's going to help you to stay in that place where you're constantly investing, where your marriage will not have a deficit, but it will have a surplus, because you're talking about those vows are saying whether we're rich or poor, whether we are in good health or not. Okay, whether we are in that place where we're thriving, or we are in a place where we are coming out of this together. It speaks to the ebbs and flows of a relationship, the ebbs and flows of a marriage. You're not going to always be excited about everything that your spouse does, but it is this respect, and it is this constant reminder that this person has my best interest at heart. And so God has allowed this person to be a gift for me to be able to open my heart to, and to be able to trust them in doing so. And so as we begin to wrap up, I want you all to talk a little bit about the conversation around the traditional vows and why you feel like couples are not as prepared as they should be in taking this journey together, because they maybe some of the ways in which they see the traditional vow. Talk a little bit about how they can be empowered by the traditional vow. And let's start with the Williams.
For me, when I think about the traditional vows, all I can hear is the word submission. And the first, we are to be submitted to God before we can be submitted to anyone.
Yes.
So to be there for him in sickness and health, in good times and bad, whether we're wealthy or poor, because I am submitted to my father first, I don't have a problem being submitted to my husband. Much like Derek, Ramon is very much and has always been the protector, the provider. So I don't have a problem submitting to my husband, because I know if there's any issues, he knows to go to God first. So because he is submitted, I am submitted, which means we can walk out Ephesians 5 and be submitted one to another.
Come on.
So in the first year of our marriage, the first year of our marriage, I came from making sure my parents were both okay after having illnesses in Georgia, to coming to Florida, being married to Ramon. And in the first year of our marriage, my mother-in-law became ill. We had to take care of her. I mean, and taking care of someone who is ill, it's a full-time job. And we both had full-time jobs. So what concerns him concerns me. What concerns me concerns him. So it was not even a second thought for me to say, okay, baby, how are we going to do this? What kind of schedule are we going to need so we can make sure that your mom is okay?
Come on.
And not only did we encounter that, but we both got coronavirus also. Out of work for 2.5 months. And those two situations happened in the first year of our marriage. So when people go into marriage, you can't go into this thing thinking everything is just old peaches and cream, balloons and rainbows. No. I mean, we were ready from day one, because it was like we had to hit the ground running, but it was because of our foundation, because we truly understood what those vows meant before we even went into this. We understood what they meant. So once we met those challenges, it was just okay. Lord, give us the strategy to help us get through each and every situation. When we both were sick, we both could barely breathe, could barely walk, but we were tripping over each other to make sure the other one was okay.
Jesus.
That's what having a real foundation and understanding that in submission there is power. In submission there is protection. In submission there is provision. So society has made the word submission seem as though you are weak. You just, you ain't nobody if you submit. And in the age of, these power women, and believe me, I was one in my late 20s, early 30s. Believe me, I was Miss Ambition. If you looked up ambition in the dictionary, it was me. It was me. I accomplished so much before the age of 30 that I thank God for bringing me to a point where He had to humble me. Because I felt like everything that I was accomplishing it myself, but it was only by the grace of God. So being in that position where you have had, leadership, where you have been supervisors and had money and this kind of thing, if you don't have the proper teaching and you go into something with this ambitious mindset, because that's one of the reasons why my first marriage ended. I'm not blaming it all on my ex-husband, because I was superwoman. So, a whole lot of things had to go my way, but learning submission, walking out this walk with God, maturing in Christ, that is what has helped us both be in the position where we can do this marriage thing and sit back and just watch God do His work.
I love it. Let me tell you, you ended in something that I think is a part of us being able to transition to a wealthy place in a marriage, a covenant that God approves. You have to take accountability, even for prior relationships. And I want to tie in something that Gia said, because when Gia experienced the personality and the care and the commitment that she got from Derek, it's almost like it's a foreign thing sometimes when you've dealt with knuckleheads, or you dealt with people, that may not be as sensitive, may not be as vested. Sometimes you make the real thing sometimes pay for what you experienced in your past.
Yes.
And so there's oftentimes where we've got to first address that, because if not, you will go into the next relationship bleeding all over someone who never, right? And so a part of the investment, and that's why I really wanted to be able to have this show for you all to be able to share your transparency as I go to the bigs of the investment prior to the I do. It's not just with the two of you. That investment also entails you being able to look at self, because I'm a firm believer that we should not look at our past relationships and point just about what that person did or did not do. God, what is it that you wanted me to see about me with that previous and past relationship? Because I wasn't where I needed to be spiritually, nor was that person where they needed to be spiritually, right? But God, what you're preparing me for, I need to be able to assess where I am so that I don't go into this other relationship or this gift that you're giving me with preconceived notions or making someone pay for what other people did. And so I think healing is a huge part of the investment that couples have to do both individually and collectively. But it starts with having the truthfulness of that conversation. So I want to come to you all to the bigs in reference to that, because I think a part of it is we say we want truth, right? We say we want people to be honest and be transparent, but can we handle the truth? Talk on that.
I think that to me, a lot of times it's the tone. I don't care how you come at the person. If your tone is right, all is well. Yeah, you might have a issue with what they said, but if you come in the right tone, I think all is well. A lot of times, like me, I used to like to bicker just because. I just like the big, used to like the bicker, but Derek is so calm and so cool. So I'm gonna tell you about this one incident. I asked him for something. He was like, "No, you don't need it." I'm like, "What do you mean I don't need it?" And he said, "Babe, you don't need it." So he got up and he walking away. So I'm behind him. He turned around so quick on me. He said, "I said, you don't need it." But the look, he was so calm, but the look in his eyes, I said to myself, I would never want to see that look in his eyes again. So I went and sat myself down somewhere. But it's like even the demeanor and his tone was so calm, but in his eyes was like, look, you better go sit down somewhere. And I love it because Derek is not the type that argue. I'm like, but baby, you need to explain such and such and such because I ain't understanding why you saying no. But I have grown from that. I really did, because to me, I thought the bickering was Derek already showed his love, but I thought me bickering and Derek letting me get away with certain stuff was love, more love. But that was me being the brat. And Derek was like, look, I ain't going all that cutting up you doing. I don't, So, but his calmness, Derek has always been so calm. But the eye thing, after that eye thing, I ain't never brought him to that point ever again.
And you know what? I say I love it. Because the transparency is what is going to help people to be able to understand. Learning one another's personalities, learning to be open to someone saying no, right? Because my loving you could mean I need to say no in this category, right? But we want what we want. But when you're talking about two becoming one, you're coming from totally different experiences, totally different backgrounds. And now you're gelling this through the miracle of God bringing you as one to be able to now have that person in mind when you're making decisions. And I don't think that we really focus in on how much we need God to even do that, right? I want you to chime in, Derek, because throughout this conversation, Gia has spoken about just your calmness and your, we can tell by your demeanor that is your personality. But I want you to talk to that brother who that's not really how he gets down. Like, if she's bickering and she's taking it to 10, that brother ready to take it to 11. Talk to them about what you found as a strength in being able to be sound and to be patient and to be loving to your wife, even as she worked through those challenges. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, I mean, basically, at the end, my mind is always calculated. I'm always thinking. So, I mean, I'm just built that way. But for that hot-headed individual, you need to just maybe take a breath, think about, what's going to transpire if you continue on going, pushing each other's button, lighting this fuse, lighting that fuse. I don't think it's not healthy, and nothing really positive at the end is going to come out of it. So one, and you as a man should be the one that says, okay, let me rise above it. Because a woman, women are built to, be confrontational. It's in their DNA. So you have to be a cooler head will prevail. So you have to be a bigger man, just swallow your pride for a little bit and diffuse the situation. Then you could come back later. But if you keep going back at each other, poking each other, it's only gonna get ugly. So that's my advice to those to the gentlemen out there.
I thank you, Derek. Listen, Derek is it's a miracle that Derek is on here. So just the fact that he is sharing, I love it. I love it. I love it. And but so wise in his sharing, right? Because when you talk about being able to understand that you are one team, and I can say something, do something to hinder us from getting the W. And I think we can learn so much through sports, through just that team mindset. Go Rams, excuse me, one moment. But when that happened with OBJ and he got injured, the team had to step up. They had to be able to immediately make the adjustments, right? And so when your teammate is not having the best day, when your teammate might have had like the worst incident at their job, are you spiritual enough to say, you know what? I already see in the spirit, they're not really where they need to be. I'm not going to add to that. As a matter of fact, I'm going to send the kids to bed early. As a matter of fact, I'm going to order food. What are you doing to make sure that peace is in your home? Or are you keeping tallies of, well, the last time, for the last argument we had, I said sorry first. It's your turn. Like, are you keeping those tabs? Because I'm telling you, I think one of the biggest lies is coming into relationships 50-50. I think that's the hugest lie ever. Sometimes you're going to be 80, they're going to be 20. Sometimes you're going to be 30 and they're going to be 70. Are you able to get to 100 together because you understood that we are a team? And so when my team is injured, when my team is down, when my team is going through, that means I'm going through too. So we're going to get through this together. And so I want to end this because, I'm not married yet, but so I've been told that married folks are still doing date night, right? And so I want to start with the Williams because I have some insight because I see my sister's pictures and I see her social media of the little spots that they hit. But I want you all to share with us some of your most memorable date nights. Give our beautiful viewing audience some spots and things that you like to do for your date night.
Well, I'm big on taking her out to dinner, nice dinners, and so we do a lot of nice dinners throughout the weekends.
Mostly on the weekends, because during the week we can't do too much because we both work.
Mm-hmm.
But we have our drives. We go to a nice restaurant. But in all honesty, Ramon and I really just enjoy spending time with each other.
Yeah, together.
That may sound kind of crazy, but we like each other.
Yeah.
I mean, we're good. We can sit on the couch
Amen.
or just lay in the bed and watch television. And I know people say, well, they still in the honeymoon stage, but that's really kind of where we are at this juncture in our lives. We'll go to a function here and there. But we really just like spending time with each other. My husband, he's a foodie like my sister. So he loves to find a restaurant we haven't been to yet, and he'd be like, okay, baby, this is where we're gonna go to on Saturday. And Saturdays are most of the time our date day or date night. Because sometimes we'll go out during the day. But yeah, we definitely make sure that we spend that quality time with each other. And during that time, it's just really about us. We may talk about family and things that we're trying to accomplish, but it's in that moment of us just really spending that one-on-one time with each other, out and what have you, that we're really just showing each other, I love you. I appreciate you. And my honey, he'll say it at the drop of a dime. Baby, you know, I really love you. I really appreciate you. He really, really does. You know, Ramon has a very strong personality, you know, but I'm blessed that God has given me that grace to soften him up.
And I date night is I love cooking for her. She likes to eat, so I love to cook for her. I mean, it could be breakfast in the morning, lunch. You know, I love to get in that kitchen and you know, see if she'll like this.
Yeah,
Oh.
he does do that. He does.
I love it. You know, prior to the wedding, she had us all on JJ smoothies for 10 days.
Ooh, you.
Yes.
Hey, I know she had you too, bro, but I love it. Let me tell you, as we close out with the bigs and them sharing their date night, I hope and pray that as people watch this show, like what you're getting from it is make it uniquely yours, right?
Yes.
Date night can be the most romantic, most beautiful night for a married couple to put out a blanket in your living room, have a picnic basket in the living room, watch your favorite, well, you know, the ladies, you know, some of us like little love stories or comedies or whatever, but you might need some action packed, but watch your favorite movie together. It is about really the two of you spending time together ultimately. So it's not about breaking the bank to do it, but it's about really enjoying one another's company. So, baby and boo boo, take us out with some of your most memorable date nights.
Okay, let me start because I know she's going to take up the bulk of the time. Well, COVID kind of hampered everything, but what I always like to do is I like to go to, you know, hotel by the beach, a little weekend overnight kind of thing, brunch in the morning. Recently now we just we do like a Friday. I go pick up some seafood. And we do that pretty much every Friday.
Okay.
And I'm not a TV watcher. So like Derek has his throw, I have my throw, I get on one end, he get on his end, and I watch a movie that he likes to watch. Like we like peace. We
kind of like y'all.
We so calm, and Derek does all the cooking now. I don't cook a lot anymore. So Derek makes sure I'm fed.
Okay. Listen, for you brothers who need to understand that the men are getting in the kitchen as well. It's a beautiful thing, and I tell you, I have just truly enjoyed the Williams and the Biggs on our Marriage Made Wealthy. So I am so grateful for the two of you all. Thank you all so much for being on the show. And so as we wrap up, and this has truly been a blessing of a show. As we wrap up, I really pray that you heard something that is of most encouragement to you. That, as I shared once before, you know, Trish and I have a personal relationship. She's my sister in Christ, and she's just my big sister, and I love her so dearly. And so, seeing her with Ramon was an answered prayer for me, for her. And to see how he treats her, like he just instantly became a brother to me because of how he treats my sister. And so I encourage you all to learn how to celebrate with others before it happens to you. I pray that this show reminded you of what we can have when we wait on God, because the world inundates you with doing it outside of his will and doing it outside of his way. And they try to paint as if it is so joyous and they're having the time of their life. But we know that true joy only comes from God. We know that true joy only comes from us being obedient to him. And so when you're talking about a marriage that can withstand the test of time, when you're talking about a marriage that continues year after year, the Biggs are 27 years in. Trish and Ramon have known one another for over 30 years. When you're talking about the longevity of a marriage, it requires God. And we talk about Ecclesiastes in that third stream, but guess what? I'm talking about making him the foundation of everything. It's nothing like having a husband who can go to God on his own and pray for you. It's nothing like having a wife who can lay hands on you when you say that you're not well and knows God for herself and has an intimate relationship with him. There's nothing like being able to have God in your relationship. And so as I encourage our beautiful viewing audience, stay the course, wait on God. There is nothing like his gift for you. And so as we wrap up with another show of A Beautiful Life and the beautiful, beautiful story of, again, the Williams and the Biggs, I'm so grateful again to have you all. Good night.
I'm living a beautiful life. I'm making a beautiful life. I'm changing, rearranging. I see a beautiful day.